Look, they say third time's a charm. What do I mean by that? The book that we're going to discuss here in today's episode of Erudite Magic, I've actually discussed twice before. And the last time I discussed it, I got a lot of things wrong. Not necessarily about the content, so this isn't a new review, but I thought I'd take a different approach since I've already talked about this twice, and I'm going to link to those videos so that you can watch those full reviews if you want to. But instead of reviewing a book today, I thought it might be more interesting if we dove into some of the tricks that I actually liked from it and why I think this is such a great book. It's going to be more of a casual conversation and something to hopefully push you into the book if you already have it. If you've been watching for a long time, you probably already have a guess as to what the book is. It is The Card Magic of Nick Trost. You've probably already seen that this was re-released in the last couple of days, so I thought it was only appropriate that we revisit it. And I mentioned that I talked about this twice before. The last time was almost a year ago when I saw this appear on Penguin Magic's website. I made a few assumptions back then that I got wrong, and we'll get into that in just a little bit. But since this is one of the cornerstone books that got me into card magic and started my library, I thought it'd be fun to take you through some of my favorite tricks and point you in the right direction as you dive into your library. The first thing I'll point out is somewhat counterintuitive, which is to go to the back of the book and take a look at the sleights and subtleties in the appendix. If you haven't been doing card magic for a long time, this is a great place to start to teach you some very basic sleights that will improve your card magic no matter whether you're doing these tricks or other ones that you've learned. He gives away some really great stuff in here, things like the breather crimp, which if you play with it is almost like real magic. He also gives away a couple of tremendous forces like the crisscross force and the cut deeper force. He'll teach you how to do an Elmsley count, which is a way to count a small packet of cards, showing only 3 of them and hiding some others. He quickly explains the Gilbreath principle, which is basically a mathematical principle saying that when you shuffle a deck of cards, there's still a special property of that riffle shuffle deck that you can use to your advantage in some card tricks. Not only will you get the lowdown on the Cy Stebbins setup, he'll also teach you a way to arrange this far more quickly than the typical way of going through and looking at one card or another. Ever since I read about his method in this book, that's the way I've always set up my deck in Cy Stebbins if I'm using tricks that require that. Just hearing some of these things that he's teaching you here should alert you to the fact that there are some tricks in this book that are going to use these principles to very devastating effect. So let's dive into a few that I like and why I like them. I'm going to tell you up front, I'm going to give you the names of the tricks. I normally would give you the page numbers, but because I don't have the new version of the book, I don't know if the page numbers changed. I do understand that the content is wholly the same, but there may be some layout changes that affect the page numbers, so I'm just going to give you the titles, and if you're interested enough, you could do that work to look it up in the table of contents. Literally the first trick in the book, the observation test, is a really fun color-changing deck that is super simple to do. But just because it's so simple doesn't mean that you should overlook it. If you want a bonus tip on this, once you read the trick, I'd start off with a fancy deck and then switch it to a regular pack of bikes. The difference between the two will be far more memorable in your participants' minds than either a red or a blue color change. Regardless of your skill level, this also makes a really great opener because it's a memorable bit, and at the end you're left with an entire deck of playing cards, so you're now ready to proceed with whatever else might suit your fancy. Weight guess is another fun trick, but unlike the carnival game, you don't have to guess your participants' weight. You just have them cut some cards off, put them in their pocket, and then you're able to guess the number of cards that they put in their pocket. But unlike most methods where you're just stating a number, you're actually able to cut off the same number of cards and hand them to them. It offers instant reset just like the first trick, so even if you're doing a walk around style of magic, you can repeat them over and over for different groups of people. Double turnover coincidence is an impromptu shuffle deck in use type prediction with 2 participants where they both end up selecting mates of each other's cards, which you predicted in advance. Now is as good a time as any to point out that the 3 tricks I just named are basically beginner tricks. Even if you have no experience with card magic whatsoever, you'll be performing these in absolutely no time after reading it. Put in a little bit of practice, you'll be ready to amaze and delight a lot of people. And the nice part about these simple type tricks is that they're also easy to remember. So even if you're a seasoned professional, someone hands you a pack of cards and says, hey, do something for us. Just knowing a trick like this can make it seem like you're able to do miracles at the drop of a hat. If you're unfamiliar with Triumph, one of the greatest card tricks of all time, Nick has a version here in the book called Triumph Ace Opener, which lets you perform a Triumph-style routine, but instead of having a card selected, you end up with the 4 aces face up in an otherwise face-down deck after convincingly showing that they were mixed face up and face down. Another classic is the 10-card poker deal, which Nick teaches his own version of it here. There are 3 different phases, and of course, you get to choose who wins. the way it's written up, you win, but obviously you could turn that around and make sure your participant wins every time if you wanted to. The Spectator's card trick is another really fun, shuffle deck in use, easy to do prediction routine. I did this one for years, and frankly, it's absolutely fooling. Your participant goes through a procedure to end up with 2 cards that form the value of a new card. You've predicted that card ahead of time. Lost and Found lets you find a card under impossible conditions. I've spent quite a bit of time playing with this, and there's a lot of different ways that you can make this even more invisible than the method that he has here, which is fine by itself. And once you dig into this trick, if you find that you like this style, you may want to check out Midnight Sessions, because there are a number of tricks in that book that go even further than what's possible in this particular version. I'm going to link to that review here if you want to check that out. Nick's Automatic Lie Speller is another fun trick that Marlo described as the best version of the lie detector plot he'd seen. Your participant chooses a card, you ask some questions using the deck to spell out their answers, and when you do, you always end up at their card. It's completely self-working and a lot of fun to perform as you focus on making the interactions a part of the fun with your participants. Intuition is another fun piece that's kind of a coincidence. Your participant freely chooses one of 2 decks, examines it, and places one card face up in the face down deck. You take the other deck, show them it's normal, and without looking, you'll reverse one card in the deck as well. You show them that their card and your card are reversed at the exact same spot in the deck, but not only that, they're the exact same card. Again, completely self-working. Many of you will already know that Nick Trost was probably best known for his packet tricks, and this book teaches you some of his best known effects. Probably the one trick that he's most known for is the 8-card brainwave, and for great reason, because this is just such a cool trick. You give your participants a free choice of 8 face-up cards. Setting it aside, you show them that all of the other cards are red-backed cards. When you show them the card that they merely selected for whatever intuitive reason, it has a blue back. Now, of course, there are other variations that you could do of this. The card could have an X on its back, or you could do the trick face down, and the card that they choose is the only printed card, the rest are blank. There are a dozen variations that are limited only by your imagination, but the point is, it's an easy to do, fun trick that's really cool, and if you think about it, it doesn't have to be done with playing cards. So I'll leave you with that little hint. Trick cards is another fun packet trick with a lot of different changes going on with a small number of cards. The cards turn face down by themselves, they change back color, the back erases itself, it gets an X on it. So if you're interested in something visual, whether for modern social media or just for showing something quick to people when they ask you to see a trick, this one can be quite fun. I mentioned the Gilbreath principle at the beginning of this episode when I was mentioning the sleights and subtleties in the appendix, and this next trick takes advantage of that. It's Gilbreath aces. You lose the aces, you let your participants shuffle the deck, you let them deal down piles, and when they're done, they turn over the top card of each pile, and they're all aces. Fun, self-working, need I say more? All right, so I've shared about a dozen of my favorite tricks with you, and you've probably picked up on the fact that most of these are really simple and easy to do. But I think that that should be a feature, not a bug. This entire book is an object lesson that magic doesn't have to be difficult to actually put it in front of an audience and make it entertaining and amazing. I've used most of these tricks that I've shared with you to entertain people in a lot of different places. And I know that you can too. And in fact, I think that this book makes for a tremendous beginner book. And even if you're past that beginner stage, having a few easy to do card tricks up your sleeve never hurts anybody. The real benefit here is that as a beginner or someone that's maybe less comfortable with performing magic, you get to learn some easy things to do that can allow you to focus on your presentation, to continue to put this in front of an audience over and over and over again, to get your reps in and to figure out how you best present magic. Later, you can decide whether you want to add more knuckle-busting sleights into your repertoire or not, but at least you have a good foundation of some basic sleights like the Elmsley count, some forces. These are sleights even if they are self-working or really easy to do. Here's the deal. Whether you're looking for easy to do magic like this book or more knuckle-busting things, you're going to want a lot of this in your library anyway, and when you do, I recommend you shop with Don's Magic and Books. He has all of these easy to do card trick books, but he also carries some of the other stuff that the more advanced students want to try as well. He has new books, he has old and out of print books, so no matter what you're looking for, you can shop with confidence at Don's Magic and Books, not only knowing that you'll probably find something that interests you, but you'll also find it at a price that's right. Don's always tremendously fair with his pricing, and he offers free shipping if you live in the United States and meet certain minimum thresholds. No matter what you're shopping for, shop this week with Don's Magic and Books. So the book is back in print, and now there are a couple of things I know that I got wrong a year ago or were unclear to me that have become clear. The first is the price, and I talked about this in my review. I got pretty close on the price. I said between $60 and $70, and in fact, they landed right at $65. Now, when you compare this to the $45 price that it used to be, it does seem like a significant step up. But you also have to understand that that price has been the same now since pretty much the beginning, which means that if you put this into a consumer price index and account for inflation, in fact, this book is selling for less than it did 30 years ago when it first debuted. Regardless of that, if you're just looking at straight up cash, $65 for a book with this many tricks in it, I still think is a good deal, and I recommend that you pick it up. The other thing that I got wrong is that I thought that this was being put out by Penguin Magic because they were the first to list it on their website, and I couldn't have been more wrong about that. This is actually being brought to you courtesy of Murphy's Magic, and the exciting thing about this is that they've purchased the entire stable of the L&L Magic books, and as we've already seen with the magic of Michael Amar, and now the card magic of Nick Trost, they're bringing back a lot of these older titles, so this is one more reason to support a reprint like this, is to say, yes, we do want to see these older books back in print, and not just with what we say, but how we act by purchasing these, whether it's for ourselves or for someone else. If you're a Nick Trost fan, you like easy to do card magic, or frankly, you're still watching, probably means you should click that subscribe button and be a part of the Erudite Magic community. As always, my friend, I appreciate you watching, and until next time, keep reading.